Welcome to episode 38 of Conundrums. I'm Jay Michael. Our guest tonight is Eric Altman. We'll cover the latest paranormal news. That's coming up next, right here on Conundrums. Welcome to episode 38 of Conundrums. Our guest tonight is Eric Altman. He'll be bringing us the latest in paranormal news. Eric, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, Jay. Good to see you again. It's been a while since we've been together on the show here, but we did get a chance to get together back in October here in Pennsylvania. It's good to finally meet you in person.
Yeah, that was great. I had a fantastic time, and you did a wonderful job with that conference. You were on your toes constantly. I know there was a lot of things going on, and you kept it organized. You really put a wonderful conference together, and I'm hoping you're welcome. I'm hoping that you'll do it again soon.
I'm retired right now from the conference scene. It's a lot of work that goes into those, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people had a good time. I think we had over 600 people attend the full weekend, and for both days, the UFO and the Bigfoot days, and it was a lot of fun. And I got to meet a lot of great people like yourself. We finally got to meet, and a lot of people really commented and they enjoyed it and had a good time. So I'm glad you were there. I'm glad you had a good time as well.
I did, and it was great going out to eat with Dr. Jeff Meldrum and some of the other guys that were there. You had a fantastic lineup. And just anyone who missed it, look forward. Hopefully they'll have another one soon or sometime in the future. And if they do, if Eric does decide to come out of retirement and put together another show, well, do not miss it, because I guarantee you it'll be wonderful.
Yeah, like they say, never say never.
That's true. Well, you've had some health problems lately. I noticed on Facebook. What's going on? Are you feeling better?
Yeah, actually, I'm just getting over the flu, which was compounded by sinus and ear infection. It's the weather changing up here in eastern Pennsylvania, or southwestern Pennsylvania in the eastern United States. It's been warm one week and then cold the next and warm again, so it's fluctuating back and forth. And yeah, I got sick back in December with a nasty little sinus infection that kind of filled my head and wouldn't go away, a little stubborn. And then on top, like I said, it got compounded by the flu, but doing a lot better. Medication's a wonderful thing, and lots of rest. But thanks for asking. I'm doing a lot better now.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, I tell you what, we got some paranormal news we want to get into tonight. I'm going to let you grab the first story, and let's start talking about it, okay?
Sounds good. This first story is a pretty interesting one. It's kind of got a twist of sci-fi meets conspiracy, if you want to call it that. It reminds me kind of the movie The Thing. The Antarctic scientists, and they discover a strange alien under the ice. Well, these scientists haven't discovered anything yet. However, they are doing something pretty interesting. And this happened this past Tuesday, February the 8th. Some Russian scientists were actually drilling in an area in Antarctica to an ancient lake buried under the ice for over 20 million years. No one has touched this. Modern man has not touched this lake that's been hidden for quite some time, and they've been trying to reach it for a while, and finally success on this past Tuesday. They drilled down through the ice. They finished the last 4 kilometers or 4 meters to get to this underground lake. And microbiologists say that this lake could offer a glimpse of some very unique life forms, something that we've never seen or discovered. Modern man has never discovered before. So it's pretty exciting. What they compare this area to, they say it's considered to be like the water that you might find on Jupiter's moon of Europa. It's pretty thick on top, but underneath it has like a thermal glacier temperature that keeps this water from freezing and keeps it flowing. And basically what it is, it's called Lake Vostok, and it's in the Antarctica. And the scientists, like I said, they've been drilling there for quite some time trying to get through it. And eventually they have broken through, and they plan on testing this water. They sucked a sample of the water out of the lake, and they plan on checking it out. Now, what's really cool about it is they say that this water source that they found is almost 3,300 miles of pristine water, twice cleaner than what we know is double distilled water. And it says it's perfect for any life that has been there, and it's been in complete, total isolation. Now, they're not expecting to find the Loch Ness Monster there, of course, but you never know what they will find. They might find some new smaller aquatic creatures, some microbiotic creatures. They're not really sure, but it's a breakthrough, and such groups as NASA's been watching them very thoroughly. And of course, the Russian scientific community, the American scientific community, they've all been watching this very, very closely. And Professor Priscu, who's a microbiologist at the University of Montana, he says he's been on top of this for quite some time. He's actually attended that area to try to do a drilling expedition there last year. But he's very interested in finding out what unique organisms may be in that lake as well.
Now, there's sort of a Nazi connection to this too, isn't there?
Right, and that's where the conspiracy theory comes into play in all this. There's rumors that after World War II in 1943, that Germany's submarine fleet got together. They, of course, built the submarine fleet, and at the end of World War II in 1945, a U-530 submarine arrived at the South Pole from a port in Kiel, Germany, and apparently the rumor is that they've built some kind of secret ice cave or secret base for the Nazis to store Hitler's secret archives, files, and there was even rumors that a U-977 submarine was supposed to have delivered remains of Hitler himself and Eva Braun to this cave, so in hopes that they could possibly clone their DNA. Now, of course, when they went to approach these submariners who supposedly went there and they eventually surrendered in Argentina, they approached them and they denied the whole claim. They said it was all fake. But who knows? These Russian scientists may find something more in this lake than they bargained for.
It's kind of a Jules Verne type thing, getting up under the ice pack and then finding this whole, like a land beyond, there.
A whole new world.
Mm-hmm. And I guess there's sort of a Jurassic Park aspect to it also, because some people think that there could be living dinosaurs that are living around in this area with this freshwater lake there.
Yeah, and although the main scientist that I mentioned, Professor Prisco, he doesn't believe they'll find something as large as the Loch Ness Monster per se, or something to that size. But again, he's not really sure what they'll find. And the body of water is over 3,300 square miles. So it's a huge body of water that they've tapped into. So who knows what they'll find down there?
Absolutely, yeah. And you said that they brought up a sample of water and it was very, very clear, very pure. Did they find any microorganisms in it, or have they determined that yet?
They haven't mentioned in the story. They did say that they brought up some samples to test, but they did not mention whether or not they found anything in that water, other than the fact that it's the cleanest water in the world.
Wow.
So we'll have to wait and see.
And what do they think the date of this lake? I mean, was it there? How long ago was this lake formed? Do they know?
Well, they know that this lake has been there for a long, long time, dating back at least 20 million years. That's the date that they've estimated that the last time it's been seen, I guess you could say, or above the ice, based on how far down in the ice they've drilled. So I imagine that lake's been there as long as the Earth has been there, and this is the first time I believe modern man has actually discovered or gotten to that lake.
Do you happen to know if they intend to send a probe down or something to go in there and look around? Is that their next step?
Well, from the story that I read, they don't really want to put much in the way of mechanical or metallic equipment down there. They want to try to keep it as clean and pristine as possible. They don't want to contaminate it, basically.
Right.
So it's uncertain if they're going to actually put probes down in there to see what's there. They may eventually, if they can get something that is sterile enough to do so. But at this point, I think that's why they're sucking the water out instead of going in with big containment units and just scooping it out. They're using a very thin piece of mechanical equipment to suck the water out instead of going in and just making a big splash, so to speak.
And it's taken a lot of our modern technology to reach this place, yet allegedly the Nazis had reached it back in the 40s. So how would they have accessed it?
Well, that's what's interesting. The rumors speculate that they may find something when they're digging down there. Now, whether or not that's true remains to be seen. So there was the rumor that they did form some kind of secret base or secret cave, Nazi installation there. But no one really knows for sure. As I said, when they approached those submariners who were supposedly there and surrendered in Argentina, they denied the whole claim.
Right. Okay.
Of course they would.
Well, yeah, that's the conspiracy. Of course they deny it.
Exactly.
All righty. Hey, let's move on to the next story.
Sure. This next one's pretty interesting as well. Have you ever wanted to see in the dark without the use of technology, without the use of using night vision goggles, or you want to go to the refrigerator to get something to eat, and you don't want to turn the light on and wake the whole house up? Well, this young man apparently has this ability. And this story's rather interesting. It's about a Chinese boy that apparently has these cat-like eyes that give him the ability to see in the dark. And they describe these eyes as almost glowing blue-green when you shine a light on them, which is rather unique.
Wow.
And they say that the boy can apparently catch crickets in the dark without a flashlight, and can even write complete a test in the dark without any kind of ambient light source at all.
Wow.
So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Now, there's a woman who works at a program called Life's Little Mysteries, and what she did, her name is Natalie Wolchover. What she did was she went and got together a handful of scientists to take a look at this boy to see what exactly is going on here. And to get their collective reaction, of course. And their collective reaction was, which is pretty interesting. So there's obviously something going on with this boy. Now, of course, there's the speculation that his eyes have mutated over time and they've actually developed the ability to see in the dark. But there is an ophthalmologist at the State University of New York in Buffalo that disagrees with that. He says that it's quite unlikely that the boy has a mutation that produced something like, as he calls it, a tapetum lucidum, or an extra layer of tissue that helps cats see in the dark. He doesn't believe that's the case here. However, he believes that what might be possible is that this boy just has these extra rods in his eyes that allow him the light to come into his eyes to see in the dark. So maybe not necessarily a genetic mutation to turn the boy's eyes into cat eyes, but maybe a mutation that has extra rods in his eyes that allow him the light source to get in there and provide him that sight.
Right. That is strange. And you know, that could have something to do with Sasquatch and Sasquatch's ability to see in the dark, you know.
Exactly.
Maybe a Sasquatch has these extra cones.
Right, and they're called photoreceptors, or rods. And humans have a certain number of rods in their eyes to give them some kind of light. And it's possible that's what this boy has, is a high number of these rods. And maybe Sasquatch does as well. That's why they can see so well at night and they're considered nocturnal.
Right. That is a very interesting story. By the way, just a few moments ago, we had a little digital interference with Skype, but it appears to have cleared itself up, so we're going to just keep going. I apologize for that to the viewers that may have seen what kind of looked like a Rubik's Cube gone nuts there for a second. But it's cleared up, so we're continuing on.
It's another government cover-up conspiracy.
See, that's it. We start talking about this stuff, and they start jamming our signals.
They try to get us off the air.
And I have no aluminum foil to put on my head.
Me neither. Oh, you can see I need it.
The rays, man, the rays, they're coming into my head. Okay, what's next on the agenda?
Speaking of rays, there's some strange sounds being heard all around the world. And this has actually become a global phenomenon on YouTube. Now, this started last year, actually into 2010, when these videos started popping up. And there was one or two here or there. And they were from different locations around the world of people going outside and hearing these strange sounds coming from the sky.
Right.
And some of the descriptions have been, for example, large metallic sounds like something's drilling, or distant thunder, or heavy moving machinery, or even Gabriel's trumpet. Some of you even claimed it's the sound of the apocalypse.
Wow.
And over the year, into 2010 and 2011, these videos started popping up more and more on YouTube, to the point now where it's become a viral worldwide sensation, where there's literally these sounds or supposed sounds showing up in major cities all around the world. Now, what's really interesting about this is a lot of these sounds do sound very, very similar, however, not completely identical. Some have theorized, as I said, that this is the sound of the apocalypse, the end of the world coming, and this is truly Gabriel's trumpet being played, and it's the end times. While others speculate, no, it's nothing more than a drilling site that's close by to where the sounds have been recorded, and that's what they're hearing. Other people have speculated that this is the earth making groans and moans and adjusting to what we're doing, poisoning the earth, so therefore it's letting off these sounds and noises, and its response to what we're doing. Others speculate that this is, like I said, distant thunder. That's all it is. So there's a lot of interesting theories about what these sounds are, but again, they're being supposedly recorded all over the world. Now, my favorite theory on all this is it's nothing more than a viral marketing campaign to promote a possible upcoming movie like Cloverfield 2 or maybe War of the Worlds sequel, because the sounds in these videos are very, very similar to the sounds that you would hear in those movies, Cloverfield and War of the Worlds. Very metallic and that kind of like amplitude, that loud. So there's some interesting theories about that as well.
Is there any indication that Hollywood may be using this for that sort of thing, for some sort of a marketing campaign? Does any word come out? There's leaked out that way?
Nothing yet that I'm aware of. I've been following this pretty closely. I had one of the stories up in Canada where there were two, you've probably seen it, the two gentlemen out there in the snow where they're hearing this.
Right.
And it's playing in the background. Now, that's all I've really seen is these videos being recorded from all around the world. Nothing from Hollywood yet. Nothing to give us a little maybe clue or hint as to what these videos might be. However, it could be anything at this point. No one really knows. But what's interesting about it is, I said, it's not just one specific location. I mean, it's been recorded in Costa Rica, Denmark, Kiev in the Ukraine, Arizona, Michigan, Chicago, New York in the States, Philadelphia, Texas, Budapest, Hungary, Scotland, France, Norway. It's been heard all around the world, and no one really has an explanation to it. Some say it's just nothing more than a big hoax.
Right. So I've listened to some of these and, processing them through equipment and stuff, and I can tell that on some of them, you can definitely tell that it's in the actual audio of the video. It's kind of off in the distance. And yet some of them, there's a few I've run across that sounds like maybe they layered the sounds over them. So some of this should probably be taken with a grain of salt. It could be hoaxes.
Right.
But I think the original ones that first started coming out, that people would hear these strange things, most of those sound like they actually did record it on location.
Right, they do. That's what's so intriguing about it is, with the exception of the Cloverfield movie and the War of the Worlds, I've never heard any sounds like that before. I'm baffled by it, quite honestly, and I don't have an explanation. I'm leaning towards maybe it is some kind of movie promotion, because it almost seems like it's too good to be true.
Right, but it does come on the heels of this major solar flare that we've had. That electromagnetic activity in the atmosphere. Also, there's been a lot of talk about HAARP. With the weather changing and this device the government has built that can affect the weather by bouncing waves into the upper atmosphere. And so, you hear these, when people hear these sounds, they're hearing them coming seemingly out of the sky. And it does make you wonder, what this could be.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because those are two of the theories that people think that might be going on here. Is the HAARP project, which is supposedly a project that doesn't exist. The government denies it, but there's a lot of people that think, there's stuff going on where they're shooting rays up into the air and manipulating the ionosphere and causing weather changes. That's what they're hearing. And there's those theories that you brought up as well. There's a lot of them out there.
It could be anything like that. We'll keep monitoring this, and maybe a video or audio will surface that will give us a little bit more detail. Some of them also, if you listen, it's way off in the background, and it's not like they dubbed it in up front. You can barely hear it yourself. Just, it's their cell phone camera or whatever recording it. So I think it's definitely legitimate for the most part that people are hearing these sounds, but as to what they are and what's causing them, I have no idea.
Well, one interesting side note to this is a friend of mine that lives over in Wales, UK. We were talking about this online the other night, and she informed me that it's being heard over there as well, and she's actually heard it herself. And it was so loud that she could feel it in the ground as the sounds were emanating. The ground was vibrating, and she's not the only one that heard it. Other neighbors have heard it and talked to her about it as well. So not really sure what's going on here, but it certainly is an interesting story.
You know, I just thought of something that we had the previous story about drilling down into that lake area in the Antarctic. I wonder if the drilling could be setting up some sort of sympathetic vibration that's going around the Earth as they hit certain very deep pockets of things, you know, and then it's heard somewhere else. It's like if you thump on a railroad track here, you can hear it a mile away, you know, if you put your ear to it. So the Earth being essentially having areas in it that's hollow, you know, in tectonic plates and stuff that shift. I mean, you know, this is what causes earthquakes. If they were to hit sort of a sensitive area, you could possibly hear it in another country.
Right, and that's a good possibility too. As I said, no one's really sure. No one can put their finger on what's exactly going on. It's a fascinating story that continues to gain interest. But what is really interesting about this story is it's only being talked about in private circles. The major media has yet to pick up on this, and there really aren't any police reports or any kind of public reports that have been released on this phenomenon. So that's why I'm wondering if it is maybe a viral campaign or something to that effect. And other people are maybe, as you said, hearing things that are similar to what's really the cause of it, and they're connecting the two together. I don't know if we'll ever really have an answer to it, but it sure is a great mystery. It
is. Fantastic mystery. Okay, well, let's move on to something a little bit more local to Pennsylvania, your area.
Yeah, this is an interesting story that was released by Stan Gordon. Now, for those who don't know who Stan Gordon is, he's a longtime UFO and Bigfoot researcher from here in Pennsylvania. He started his work over 52 years ago, and every year he collects all the reports from not only himself, what's been reported to him, from other researchers as well, like MUFON and the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Society, the group that I'm involved with, and other independent researchers. And he collects UFO reports, strange creature reports, and Bigfoot reports, of course. And over the year of 2011, in 48 counties, he collected some report of either a UFO, a strange creature, strange animal sighting. And that's a lot of counties in Pennsylvania to have interesting encounters coming from. Now,
I had the opportunity to meet him at your conference in October. He's a great guy, and he was did an interview with him. He was very helpful and very knowledgeable of that area.
Oh, he is, and as I said, he has 52 years of experience, and he really knows his stuff. So he put an article out, and you can find this information on his website, which is stangordon.info. And it's basically it's a brief rundown of what was reported in 2011. And I'm not going to get really detailed into everything that's been covered.
Sure.
But just to give you a brief synopsis of some of the things that he talks about in this article. And again, this is through other sources such as Peter Davenport's National UFO Reporting Center, the Pennsylvania chapter of MUFON, the PBS, the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Society, and of course other independent groups and researchers. What he talks about, of course, is there were quite a number of UFO sightings in 2011, and there have been every year for quite some time. Now, of course, Stan comes right out in front and says a lot of these reports are more than likely misidentifications, natural or man-made objects, such as the planet Venus or Jupiter. Those were commonly misidentified. Bright meteors or a blimp, or what may be known as hot air balloons, amateur homemade hot air balloons, or Chinese lanterns. He got some of those kinds of reports over the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. But he has gotten a lot of reports about UFO activity, and he says there is a percentage of them that he has no explanation for.
Right.
So those are some of the things that are being seen over the skies. One in particular I thought was pretty interesting, and I'll just share this one really quickly.
Sure.
He's got reports about different sizes and different shapes of objects. This one in particular, on September 24th, 2011, over the Pittsburgh area, in the Baldwin Borough, which is just outside of downtown Pittsburgh. It involved 5 luminous objects moving in a fixed position. The witnesses were interviewed by a researcher by the name of Keith Bastianini, and apparently these 5 objects broke formation, began to maneuver around under the other objects in the sky. And a couple times they seemed like they would merge together and they would separate again.
Right.
So that's one of the weird encounters that have been reported. I don't know if that can be attributed to any kind of known phenomena, maybe planes flying in formation or helicopters. It's really uncertain what it was, but he really has no answer for that. But some of the other reports described long, spherical, cigar, triangular shaped, rectangular shaped, disc shaped objects, shiny objects, and strange just lights.
Right.
That really have no explanation for.
Well, you know, we have a new technology, a fairly new technology that's come into play here that I think that in the coming months and years are going to play into the UFO thing. Recently, I've gotten involved in flying remote control airplanes and helicopters and such as a sort of a sideline hobby. And they make an LED light kit for these things that you can put on a quadcopter, a helicopter, or an airplane. And, you know, you consider an airplane's about, 4 foot by 6 foot, maybe a large one. And you put these LEDs on it and you get it way out there in the sky away from you. You can't tell the shape of an airplane, but you see those lights. And I've seen videos of people flying these remote control helicopters and airplanes with these lights on them. And if someone that, they don't make a lot of noise because they're electric, they're not gas powered. And if someone, say, 2 or 3 blocks over were to look up and see someone flying one of these things, you would think it's a UFO. They're very bright, very bright LEDs and all on them. And so I think that, as this becomes more and more popular, people are putting lights on their model airplanes and they're flying them. We're going to start seeing a lot more UFO reports coming in that actually are remote control aircraft.
Oh, sure. And I've even had misidentifications myself where I've seen a helicopter or a plane in the sky at a certain angle where you can't see the landing gear lights or the wing lights or the tail lights. All you see is a bright white light moving in the sky and you don't hear any sounds. And then once it flies over you and you look directly up at it, then you can see the wing lights, the tail lights, and you recognize it's an airplane. So that's a good possibility, too, that people are just catching these strange or these common objects like airplanes, helicopters, blimps, whatever, in the sky at a different type of angle and only seeing it for a few seconds and saying, I saw this thing in the sky that was one bright light with no sounds. It couldn't have been an airplane, but in fact it was.
Right. And, Chinese lanterns came along a few years ago. And now, there's been a lot of sightings that have now been attributed to Chinese lanterns. And I think we have this new thing that's beginning now, that people putting these LEDs on model airplanes. And you can make a model airplane go up and just do amazing, stupid stunts that you wouldn't think it's an aircraft because your brain would say, there can't be anybody in that. The G-forces would kill them. But it's a little small airplane, and it's flying around and doing this stuff. So I think that we're going to start seeing this. We're going to start seeing a lot of reports that will actually be misidentification of RC aircraft. Doesn't mean there's not any UFOs. I'm just saying that this is something that probably you should be on the lookout for and watch the item. If you see a video or if you see something yourself, just observe it for a few minutes and ask yourself, could this be an RC aircraft? Because they don't make any noise. I mean, as far as when they're up in the sky, you can't hear them unless you're right near them. And I think that we'll start seeing a lot more of that coming soon.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it's going to make things a little more difficult for UFO researchers, but hey, their job's difficult enough already as it is.
That's it. And thanks to Stan for doing all the research and compiling all that together, because it's a wonderful article and it's full of stuff that's going on in that area. And he's really, crossed his T's and dotted his I's and made sure he got all the information there. So, and thanks to you also for bringing that report to us from Stan.
Sure. And you can find it, as I said, stangordon.info. He talks about some of the strange creature sightings in Pennsylvania as well, the Bigfoot reports that came in from all over the state, some very, very strange creatures. There was a report back in March, I believe, of some kind of tall, gray-skinned colored hominid with wings on its back. It walked in front of a car. I think we talked about that on the show last year.
Probably.
And they call it the Bat Squatch now.
Right.
But yeah, he's got a lot of these different strange creature sightings, along with the more detailed UFO sightings on his website, stangordon.info.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Finding Bigfoot has really taken off. You know, it's a popular TV show. And though some of the information in it is probably not accurate, but it's a popular show now, and it's obviously about to create some spin-offs. You've got some news on that too, don't you?
Well, I don't know if this is necessarily a spin-off, but it's an interesting story that gives a cash prize away, or apparently has offered a cash prize for quite some time. And this may be the year for someone to collect on it. Last year, there was a bumper crop of Loch Ness sightings, apparently. And this may lead the person who captures a video or a photograph of the Loch Ness Monster a cash prize of £1,000, which estimates to $1,500 in American change. So there have been some really good sightings around the loch in 2011, and apparently people are seeing something over there. Just a quick recap of some of the reports that have come in. Going back to this past year, there were 2 possible creatures photographed. 3 sightings at the lake last year. A gentleman by the name, on vacation, William and Joan Job, saw what they appeared to be a head peeking above the water, 200 to 300 yards off the shore from Fort Augustus, that famous fort that you always see in the pictures, the abandoned fort there. In January, Jan and Simon Hargraves in June apparently caught a glimpse of Nessie in the loch near the village of Foyers. They weren't able to get it on film, unfortunately. And then September of this year, a fish farm worker by the name of John Rowe snapped an idyllic photo of a large, dark-shaped object with 2 humps in the water just beneath the arch of a rainbow. So people are seeing something in the lake. They're not sure exactly what it is. There's a lot of folks that speculate it's a giant eel or a giant sturgeon, but they're offering a cash prize for the best picture of Nessie. And this might be the year they collect on it.
And we've been getting a lot of new interest in Nessie in the last year or so. And that, of course, that may also be the new interest that's started up in the search for Sasquatch. Sure. Because of shows like Finding Bigfoot and things like that. There's a new show on the horizon where they're looking to do something like that on a Bigfoot theme. It's a new Sasquatch series that's coming, and they're actually asking people to participate now. I think I've got a link on the Conundrums Facebook page where you can go and link on that and find the company that they're about to start producing this thing. It's kind of like Finding Bigfoot, but all the participants in it will be trying to find Bigfoot, and there's a big prize at the end of it for that.
Right. I was actually contacted by that production company and asked to partake in the audition for one of the team members. A lot of Bigfoot researchers in the Bigfoot community were contacted. I politely just deleted the email and didn't bother to respond. That's not my thing. But we'll leave that for Bobo and Matt and Cliff and those guys over Finding Bigfoot. Let them have the spotlight. But
come on, Eric. Get out there and show them how it's done.
I'm busy enough on my own with great shows like this, Conundrums, and my own radio show and everything else going on. So this is good enough for me. But yeah, it seems like the paranormal field was huge over the last couple of years with ghost shows and UFO shows, and now they're getting into the cryptozoology aspect of things with Finding Bigfoot. And this new show that they're working on, and all these new sci-fi movies coming out on the Sci-Fi Channel about Bigfoot. So maybe cryptozoology and Bigfoot's on the upswing.
And I'm glad to see that happening. Not anything against the ghost hunters, but as far as marketing and media for ghost hunters, that's pretty much tapped out. No pun intended. You know, they've done all kinds of things with various different ghost shows. So it's time to shift the attention back to UFOs and back to Bigfoot, because you know, I think that good, positive media attention can always be good.
Oh, sure. I agree with you.
Well, speaking of 2012, there's a lot of
move on to 2012.
Yeah, a lot of folks have predicted some strange things for this year.
Yeah, and people always like predictions. I think predictions are fun. You know, a glimpse into the future, what may happen, what may not happen. And for a long, long time, we both know that the psychics in the world have always predicted different things for each year. And what I've tried to do this year is there was a list put out of psychic mediums who predicted things that are going to happen in 2012. And they put out a long list of different psychics and a whole list of their predictions. What I've tried to do for this particular story is kind of break it down to just a handful of psychics and some of the interesting predictions that they've said are going to happen. And actually what's interesting about this is some that I'm not going to mention have actually happened.
Wow.
So, yeah, so it's interesting to hear this. But let's get on to the psychic predictions for 2012.
Let's go. Take them one at a time.
Okay, now this first psychic, his name is Lamont Hamilton, or they call him Monty. And he's an ordained minister, Reiki master, healing practitioner, registered hypnotherapist, holds multiple degrees in business, psychology, and education, and he's worked in the paranormal field for 25 years. Mm-hmm. And these are some of his predictions, and they're pretty interesting. Now, as we all know, it's been long talked about that December 21st, 2012 will be the end of the world. Right. The Mayan calendar ends, and there's a lot of speculation. We won't get into that tonight, but he looks at that prediction, and he says he doesn't see that happening. He doesn't see the end of the world coming, one day a cataclysmic event that's going to destroy the world. But instead, he sees a spiritual fulfillment that's going to take place for most countries and people that want positive changes for their lives and futures. So he puts a positive spin on it and says, it's not going to be all bad in 2012.
Okay.
Some other things he's predicted, and this may play out based on what's going on right now as far as current events. He sees an Iranian revolution taking place before late summer where the spiritual leader Ayatollah Khamenei or President Mohammad Ahmadinejad, if you can say that fast, are removed from power. He sees that there's going to be a revolution in the country where government's going to change, and they're going to start looking at a different way of doing things, which may really put an end to this giant crisis going on between the Western countries and the Middle East, Russia and China. So
let's hope he's right on that one.
Keep our fingers crossed that he hits the mark on that one. Mm-hmm. Now, he's also predicted something for Japan and China this year, which isn't good news. He sees Japan being embroiled in another dispute with possibly China this year, involving military action that may threaten Japan itself, or a partial naval blockade will occur. He's not really specific on it. So there may be some things for the Far East happening this year that we'll have to keep our eyes on. Now, as you all know, we're in a new election year, and Monty has predicted that President Barack Obama will face Republican conservative Mitt Romney, and that seems to be the way things are leaning right now, so that might be a given. Yeah. And at the presidential election, he doesn't say who will win the re-election, but he does say that the race will be between Obama and Romney this year.
Okay.
So, have to wait and see on that one.
No Gingrich, apparently.
Apparently not. Old Newt will be sitting on the sidelines. Now, one of his last predictions, he predicts that Israel will encounter several assaults or explosions near military bases in 2012 after two countries will gang up on them. Ooh. Possibly Syria and Iran. Mm-hmm. Not really sure, but that's one of his predictions. So he's got a mixed bag, some good, some bad. We'll have to wait and see how Monty's predictions for 2012 wrap up.
That could very well happen. Could very well happen.
The next psychic's name, Judy Heavenly, an interesting name for a psychic. She's a teacher, astrologist, writer. She's forecasted predictions and psychic events in many publications in newspapers worldwide. Her clientele includes royalty, say that 3 times fast, former presidents, Hollywood movie stars, heads of state. She was even called to work on the famous O.J. Simpson trial, and she has a book out where she's featured as one of the top 100 psychics in America.
All right.
These are some of her predictions. She predicts the gold bar will hit $2,000 an ounce.
Whoa.
So if you have any investments in gold or not, you might want to sink a little money in gold and make some cash.
That's always a good thing.
It is. She predicts, unfortunately, for the gasoline market, for us middle class and lower class people who don't like to spend money on gasoline, she predicts gas, or oil, I should say, will hit $130 a barrel, which will definitely jack up the price of gasoline.
And that's being predicted also by economists that's going to happen.
And let's keep our fingers crossed that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I hope she's wrong.
Something else that she predicts that relates to Iran, she predicts seeing Iran will become the Persian Gulf's major refinery, oil refinery. So if that's the case and things are the way they are, then we may see oil go up a lot.
That could play into the other one's prediction about a conflict, over there.
Quite true. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know if these psychics know each other or not. They might. But
They may be calling each other at night. Okay, I'm going to say this, you say that.
exactly. Now, Judy predicts that President Barack Obama will be reelected in 2012. So maybe she's working with Monty on that prediction there. She also sees that facial recognition software will add a new level of security to U.S. computers this year.
Okay,
Now,
I can see
what's
that
interesting is they've already come up with the fingerprint scans to access your computer. I have a laptop where you have to swipe your finger over the little light bar, the LED bar, to get access to sign onto the computer.
Uh-huh.
So maybe it's going to have a little camera in the computer that looks at your face, and like we're doing now with webcams, and recognizes your face and will let you on. And if someone else has a different face, you can't get on their computer.
Maybe it'll work better than Skype, though.
It's a possibility, and let's hope so. Some other things that she predicts: a breakthrough in the cure of Lyme disease, which I know a lot of Bigfooters are real leery about. I know I am when I go out there in the woods.
Right.
And one of her final predictions is angels will actually be seen walking among us by some people who've developed extraordinary powers of perception.
Okay. Well, that happens. I mean, people do see angels.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
we'll
so
just get a bumper crop of angel sightings this year.
that's a possibility. Now, moving on to another psychic. Her name is Nikki, and she claims to be psychic to the stars. She predicted the Japan earthquake back in March, the tsunami that happened, the Wall Street Journal protests, the Operation Wall Street. She also predicted the devastating Joplin, Missouri tornadoes of 2011, the deaths of Elizabeth Taylor and Amy Winehouse, and, of course, the trouble in Syria is what she claims to have predicted. This is what she sees for 2012, and just a few of them.
Okay.
She sees major earthquakes happening this year in Mexico City, destroying most of the city. She also predicts major earthquakes in Washington, Oregon, British Columbia, Alaska, with a giant earthquake taking place in 2012 in California.
Ooh.
So if you have some oceanside property, you might want to dump it pretty quick.
Not good.
No. She also predicts a major breakthrough for the cure of breast cancer, which is good news if that does happen. I know some breast cancer survivors and some folks that are afflicted with that disease.
Yes.
So knock on wood on that one.
Yes, pink ribbon for that.
Yeah. She predicts that animals and birds, both wild and domestic, will attack people at the end of 2012.
We had something recently with birds happen, didn't we? Do you
There was
remember seeing
a lot of
something on
birds
that?
that died.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
We'll have to look that
happened
story
in
up
2011.
maybe and have some more detail on it. But there was something on the news a lot about birds. Go for it.
Yeah. She also predicts giant prehistoric sea monsters will be discovered living under the sea.
Well, now there we go back to the drilling in the South
Antarctic.
Pole. Maybe they'll find some sea monsters.
Right. And there are certain places in the ocean where they have not discovered yet or explored, so who knows?
Right. Could be.
She claims major UFO sightings will take place all over the world with a possible landing of a spaceship
That gets predicted practically every year.
every year.
And yeah, I mean, every year we do have massive UFO sightings, but so far none has landed openly.
At least that we know about.
Yeah, that we're aware of, yeah.
Now, she predicts a stock market crash, much like what happened in 1929, but it's not going to take place just in the United States. This is going to be a global stock market crash.
I could see that happening.
If you have a cabin in the woods somewhere, stock it with food and get ready to move.
Get you an assault rifle and stand guard.
Yeah. Some other scary news that she predicts for 2012. North Korea supposedly will attack South Korea and Japan.
Okay.
So let's hope that one doesn't happen.
I could see it happening.
She predicts the Earth will fall off its axis a little more than it already has.
Okay.
And the final prediction she makes is the Holy Grail will be found this year.
Wow. That would be big news.
Right. And what I plan on doing is hanging on to this file, and maybe in 2013, if we're still doing Conundrums, we'll go back and review these and see how many of these are actually happened or what.
Let's do that. Let's make a point to do that. Let's hang on to this this file, and we'll come back in 1 year, and we'll check it and see what happened.
There you go.
And you got one more. Do you have one more psychic with a prediction or two?
Right, I do. His name's Sidney Friedman, and they call him Sidney Seer. He claims a documented prediction rate, accuracy rate of 71%, and near 100% success rate with his Oscar predictions. He's only missing only twice in his predictions. So these are his predictions for 2012.
Okay.
He says that President Obama will run. Of course, we know that. He's going to run against Mitt Romney. And President Obama will be reelected with Mitt Romney not winning his home state of Massachusetts.
I can see this happening. I can.
I can too.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are actually forecasting that that's going to happen. So we'll have to wait and see. North Korea again in the predictions. Sydney predicts that North Korea's new leader Kim Jong-un by year's end in early 2013 will be seen enacting several key reforms for his country and engaging in some talks with outside countries.
Okay.
So that might be a big positive thing for the whole North Korea conflict.
It could be.
So that's some positive news on North Korea there. Unfortunately, he's going along there with Nikki and with Judy about earthquakes this year. He's predicting that there will be some major upsetting earthquake activity on the West Coast, northern West Coast, Northern California, Oregon, Washington. So that'll have to see if that plays out.
And with the one we had last year in what was it, West Virginia or Virginia, that rocked Washington as well. The U.S. unfortunately is sort of due. We're due for some major earthquake activity because we haven't had any in a long time. Other than that, and we may be seeing the beginning of more earthquake activity. So he could be right on that.
That's correct. And even the scientists are saying that we are long overdue, and they're predicting something. So maybe not necessarily a psychic thing going on there.
Yeah.
Don't need psychic ability.
Could be just a good bet. Just a good bet. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Some of his last predictions while we wrap up predictions for 2012. He predicts that even though there'll be some bumps along the way and reactions to the market dropping relating to European economic news and the bad news they've been getting about Greece and Italy and those countries that are defaulting, he predicts overall that the stock market will climb in 2012.
That's good.
And we have seen that happen this year.
Yeah. We've seen some improvement. We've been watching some gradual improvement.
Right, so we'll see.
And he had one more prediction.
And this one, of course, we talked about at the very beginning of the predictions. Contrary to numerous statements by interpreters from around the world, the Mayan calendar will not see the end of the world on December 21st, 2012.
Yay! We're all going to be here. Hopefully we'll be here in 2013 to do an episode to see if we were right. If December 21st, 2012 comes along and we're not here, don't worry about tuning in.
Exactly. And as I like to say about my luck, it won't end on December 21st. We'll all have a great day and celebrate. It'll end on December 22nd.
Yeah, that's it. Everybody will think, yay, it's over. Nothing happened. Bam, you're dead. Yeah. Okay, one last story before we go.
Okay, this one's pretty interesting, and we'll finish up on a light note.
Okay.
You got a problem with drinking? I know a lot of Americans have problems with drinking, and they seem to binge a lot, and there's a lot of problems with drunk driving and alcoholism. Well, there's a report out about a new pill that supposedly, no matter how drunk you get, will make you instantly sober, or how hungover you are, will, like that, cure that hangover.
Wow.
Yeah, it's coming. It's a chemical called, and I can't pronounce this, so I'm going to butcher the name, dihydromycetrin.
Wow.
Or DHM, and it's derived from a Chinese variety of the Oriental raisin tree. It's been around apparently for 500 years in China and acts as an effective hangover cure. And so far, the tests that they've run on this pill on boozing rats have come back with promising results.
Very good.
They go on to say that DHM will reduce the degree of drunkenness for the amount of alcohol drank, and will reduce symptoms of hangovers, almost to the point of completely getting rid of them. Jing Liang, who's the lead researcher in the study, says in time it will reduce an alcoholic's desire for alcohol.
So it could actually cure alcoholism.
Correct.
Wow.
Now, one bad thing they say about this pill is they may see alcohol sales go through the roof, thinking everybody, oh, we've got this pill we can just take now. We don't have to worry about drinking. They may see people drinking and not worrying about getting drunk or having problems with alcoholism or hangovers, and that might really become a problem.
Yes.
So the pill may have good sides and bad sides to it, but if you have a little too many at a party, you get a little bit too inebriated, they may just have an answer for you.
I wonder how fast it works. Like you're at a party, you're getting drunk, you're wasted or whatever. You take this pill, how soon until you could drive?
That's a good question, and I don't think they quite released that information yet. They're still running their test on their boozing rats, as they call them. I like to see a drunk rat. I think that'd be pretty funny.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, but they're saying they're having some astonishing results, and this pill may be the thing of the future to get rid of your hangovers and from being drunk.
Well, there you go. That would be a good thing to have, you know.
And on that note, I think I'll have a drink.
I think so. Yeah, I think I'll just have some of my tea.
In that lovely Conundrums teacup.
Yeah. I've shown it a couple of times tonight. Maybe someone out there wants to get one too. I'm not really marketing anything. I'm just showing it to you. There you go.
Nah, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, really. We're not marketing mongers here, of course. We don't make any money on this show, by the way. So if you wanted one, well, that'll help to support the program. We have a link on our Facebook page where you can go and get, and actually on our Conundrums page where you can go get merchandise for Conundrums if you want some. Well, Eric, once again, so glad to have you back for the show. I know it's been a long time, and we went away from season 2, and we're expecting to come back in the fall. We didn't make it in the fall because of holidays and work and things like that. You know, I have to do the real job before I do this. And all of that, and it ended up, here we are, the 1st of February, but at least we're back, and I'm so glad to have you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being back. It's always fun to talk with you and to share some strange and unusual stories that are going on around the world, both paranormal and normal, if you want to call it that.
Right.
And we always have a good time when we do this.
Fantastic. Well, okay, going to let you go and let the viewers go, and we will see you again next week on Conundrums.